Captain's personal log. Stardate 5174. Computer, what day is it?
At long last, it's time to visit my own personal favorite Trek series, none other than Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We've shown it before, but remember when Benjamin Lafayette Sisko did this?
Alla Maraine, counter chord, Alla Maraine, then 3 more.
Yes, what fond memories.
I'm making a new agreement. If that program passes inspection, you walk free. But if there is even the slightest flaw, then I will send you back to that Klingon prison and tell Garak to take his time while he executes you.
Wow. Okay, I suppose the 98th rule of acquisition is true. Every man has his price. It's time to look at the Deep Space Nine Season 6 masterpiece, In the Pale Moonlight. The Sisko is of Bajor, and he gets real. Welcome back to Sci-Fi Wire's Warp Factor Classic Blend, Alla Maraine. Engage! Prepare for a mission briefing. Prepare for a mission briefing. This episode first aired in 1998, but if you haven't seen it, then it's new to you. All crew to spoiler stations, and because 1998, yellow alert! This entire episode is one giant flashback of Captain Benjamin Sisko recounting events for his personal log, often speaking directly to the camera.
I can see where it all went wrong.
The story he tells goes as such. The Federation's war with the Dominion is not going well, and though they have the Klingons on their side, the casualties are mounting faster than Sisko can handle. You know who would be really helpful? The Romulans, but unfortunately they've signed a non-aggression pact with the Dominion. They have no reason to side with anyone, so Sisko is going to change that up. He's going to change it up right good. He needs solid proof that the Romulans are best served by joining the war effort on the Federation side, so he enlists the help of Cardassian tailor / super spy Elim Garak.
And it may be a very messy, very bloody business. Are you prepared for that?
Yeah! After planet Beta Z falls to the Dominion, Sisko decides to manufacture false evidence for the Romulans since they don't have anything real. Garak proposes inviting Romulan Senator Vreenak to the station and to dupe him with a false holo recording of the Dominion planning to conquer Romulus next. They get Klingon Chancellor Gowron to release holographic forgery expert Grathon Tolar, and a fake recording is created. Sisko then goes on to bend and break almost every rule there is to get Vreenak to see it, bribing and threatening a few folk in the process. But once he sees it, Vreenak ultimately realizes
It's a fake.
this turns out not to matter because Vreenak's shuttle explodes after he leaves Deep Space Nine. The Romulan Tal Shiar believes that the Dominion did it, with the damaged forgery still on board the shuttle, stoking that belief. What a relief! Dumb move, Dominion, why'd you do that? Yeah, the Dominion didn't do it. They didn't do it at all. Garak planted a bomb on that shuttle, and he also eliminated Talar. He hoped their forgery would work, but if it didn't, this would work even better. Sisko is furious, but Garak claps back that this is the reason he came to him in the first place. He needed a super spy, not a saint. The sacrifice is one unsympathetic senator, one criminal, and self-respect. Garak calls it a bargain.
I don't know about you, but I'd call that a bargain.
A bargain indeed, because the Romulans do join the war effort to help the Federation and the Klingons. No time like the present, Romulans. Nobody knows the truth except for Sisko and Garak, and the only record of it is the log that Sisko just made. At the very end of this episode, Sisko deletes the entire log recording.
Computer, erase that entire personal log.
Look at his eyes uncovered!
Does the episode contain all kinds of references, lore, and fun facts about the canon of Trek? Was Bob a son of a bitch?
You son of a bitch!
Yes and yes. If you read the title of this episode and immediately thought that it's a reference to that famous Joker quote from the 1989 Batman film...
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
You'd be correct. Ronald D. Moore, who did the final uncredited pass on this script, has said that that reference is, in fact, intentional. He just likes the sound of it. It's no secret that this episode goes dark, with Sisko and by extension Starfleet metaphorically dancing with the devil. Deep Space Nine often went dark, magical hopscotch games aside, and this is where the show really stands out from Gene Roddenberry's Ship of Saints, though nothing against that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. As Sisko says in Season 2, it's easy to be a saint in paradise. Well, thanks to the war with the Dominion, they aren't in paradise anymore. Utopias come at a price, I suppose, and sometimes that price is one dead senator and a guilty conscience. Indeed, Benjamin Sisko's morality has come into question before, most notably in the Season 5 episode For the Uniform, where he really goes ham trying to capture Michael Eddington. You betrayed your uniform! I can't do it like he does.
You betrayed your uniform!
And you're betraying yours, right now!
Deep Space Nine would continue to explore the dark underbelly of the Federation when it eventually brought in the element of Section 31, and we would later learn in Star Trek Enterprise that this shadow faction that does whatever needs to be done, no matter the cost, was a slithery part of the Federation from the very beginning. The non-aggression pact signed by the Romulans came to be in Season 5 of this series in the episode Call to Arms. Deep Space Nine, not Enterprise. They didn't Romulan, not on Enterprise. Beta Z is, of course, the home planet of the Betazoid species, the most famous of which to us is, of course, Counselor Deanna Troi from Star Trek The Next Generation. We learn here that Beta Z is in close proximity to Vulcan. Speaking of Vulcan, Vulcan was originally chosen to be the planet that would fall to the Dominion in this episode. The writers really wanted to hit home with a planet that we knew being conquered, but this was changed to Beta Z at the last minute because Vulcan just carried too much weight. I can only imagine how Spock would have responded if Vulcan had been the planet that was conquered. In the Pale Moonlight went through a great many changes in general. It began life as a Jake Sisko episode, one where he uncovered some dirt on Bajoran Prime Minister Shakar. This changed to Jake finding dirt on his own father, who was cooking up a scheme with Garak.
I've locked him in his quarters. I've also left him with the distinct impression that if he attempts to force the door open, it may explode.
Romulans were added to that scheme at some point, and it went from there. From the first draft by Peter Allen Fields to the final uncredited version from Ronald D. Moore, Jake Sisko would eventually be removed from the story entirely, and this Space Watergate was a dramatically different deal altogether. Though contentious at times, this episode not only ranks routinely very high on the list of all-time greatest episodes of Deep Space Nine, if not the highest, it is often ranked very, very high among the greatest episodes of Star Trek in any incarnation. Also, it gave us one of the best Star Trek memes of all time with this.
It's a fake!
You don't have to do much scheming and bribing to find plenty of memes featuring that. It's a fake! It's a fake! I can't really do it. I can't do it. It's a fake! It's a fake! It's a fake!
Earl Grey never fails.
Earl Grey never fails. And wow, does In the Pale Moonlight not fail to give us classic quotes. The entire episode is a gem, a perfectly written spectacle, and the always brilliant Andrew Robinson as Garak, matched with the equally great Avery Brooks as Captain Sisko, is a pairing for the ages. Sisko, working with one of the most fascinating Trek characters of all time, brings the photons, especially when they are armed with this script. Still, if I have to choose only one quote from the episode to highlight, the honor has to go to Sisko's sign-off, which I often say to myself at home when no one else is around, but of course, I'm not going to get in the way of him.
I lied. I cheated. I bribed men to cover the crimes of other men. I am an accessory to murder. But the most damning thing of all, I think I can live with it. And if I had to do it all over again, I would. Garak was right about one thing. A guilty conscience is a small price to pay for the safety of the Alpha Quadrant. So I will learn to live with it. Because I can live with it. I can live with it. Computer, erase that entire personal log.
Too late, Captain. We already saw it, but your secret is safe with us. Earl Grey never fails.
Thank you for restoring my faith in the 98th rule of acquisition. Every man has his price.
The Romulan involvement in the Dominion War would be huge for the remainder of Deep Space Nine's run, and the Romulans proved to be very, very necessary allies in the fight. The Tal Shiar had rebuilt itself at this point, following the disastrous events of the Deep Space Nine Season 3 episode The Die is Cast, and we know from Star Trek Picard that the Tal Shiar would continue to Tal Shiar for a while still to come. Jadvash. Will the Romulans ever find out that they were duped into a war? Here's hoping that nobody tips them off over on future seasons of Picard. Though Benjamin Sisko's reappearance on that show is unfortunately fairly unlikely, there's nothing to stop Elim Garak from dropping by.
I'll be along shortly to say hello.
Narek and the Jadvash think they're all big and bad? Yeah, wait till they get a load of Garak. Speaking of characters who are due for a reappearance. Crusher Watch! Crusher Watch! Crusher Watch! Beverly Crusher! It's not in this episode. Though she once visited the station over on The Next Generation, she never appeared as a guest on this series. Is that a valid excuse? I don't know. We don't get Beverly, but we do get some quality time with Starfleet's medical golden boy, Julian Bashir. If an episode is going to involve ethics, then you can bet that Dr. Bashir is gonna have some words about it. I miss Dr. Bashir, so throw him into the mix over on Picard as well. Also, bring in Ezri Dax while you're at it, but if the two of them have broken up, if they appear on that series and they are no longer together, so help me God! No!
Hailing frequencies open.
Our hailing frequencies are now open. Be sure to let us know what your thoughts are on In the Pale Moonlight, and also be sure to call out other episodes you'd like to see us explore. One viewer recently requested that we jump over to Star Trek Enterprise for an episode. You know, Star Trek Discovery might run into Daniel somewhere out in the distant future, so that's why they want us to take a look at Enterprise. That could happen. I do have wings. Wings of the heart. It's so good to be back in the cozy confines of Deep Space Nine once again. When did that happen? When did this Cardassian monstrosity become home? Who knows? All I do know is that this is a big win for the good guys. So I will learn to live with it. And if I had to watch In the Pale Moonlight all over again, I would. I have, like, 1,000,000 times. I can live with it. Erase that entire Warp Factor episode.